and some of y'all were talking about Merlin. Merlin, I understand, is a good app, but there's online Sibley. David Sibley is a well-known North American birder, artist, and
Excellent book.
I use something called iBird, and it has the sound, it has the picture, it has the range, and these things are kind of important. But Roger Tory Peterson was the one that kind of made it popular. And he and his buddy in 1949 went off. They met in New York, and they actually did a loop around from New York down into the south up into Washington. So that was kind of the first big year. The one that I know that started me years ago, 1979, was Jim Vardaman. Jim Vardaman was, in the birding world, an upstart. He was going to go out. He just wasn't happy learning about birds one-on-one. He wanted to go out and be the biggest birder out there. So he accumulated all the big wigs in the birding world. They got together, they talked strategy about where he was going to get the most birds in the ABA, American Birding Association area, which is from the Rio Grande Valley up to Canada, not including Mexico. And he did the year and ended with 699 species. And this is using experts and calling experts. In fact, his book is called Call Birdman, Collect, yeah. So that was my introduction to the big year. Following that, in 1983, there was Benton Basham. And Benton Basham was an experienced birder, and he just wanted to kind of show that you didn't have to have all these experts leading you around, that he could find the birds on his own. So he did. And he ended the year with 700, let me see what it says. I forget. 711. So he was the first one to break the 700. He flew to Alaska. At that time, Attu was open. And Attu, if you look on the map, Alaska, and then Attu is the one way out here, almost to Russia. In fact, the international date line goes through, and in order to keep Attu in the North America time, they bend the timeline around Attu. So, and this was a Coast Guard station with, they kept track of airplanes, and it was pretty desolate. But it's great for getting Asian birds. And so he went out, he got this, he did a lot of it on his own, and it was really interesting to see that. As technology progresses, you have internet, you have eBird, you have all of this stuff. It makes it, communication in 83 was you go to a phone booth, you put in a quarter, and a couple of quarters, and you call the rare bird line. And you hope that whoever is keeping up with that rare bird list is keeping it up that day or that week, because sometimes it didn't happen that way. So it was really kind of a gamble. Today, I mean, you strategize. The first woman to get it, to break the 700 was Lynn Barber, and she was a birder from Texas. fast forward, and we have somebody in our own neighborhood right here on St. Simon's Island. Well, when she's here, we have Evie Morel. And in 2017, she beat everybody out. She got 817 species. And listening to one of her podcasts, she said she had to strategize where to go. And the most important thing for her to do this big year challenge was to make sure she got to Attu in May. And she did. So she based everything else around that trip to Attu, because that was going to give her birds that you can't get anywhere else in North America. Now, in my own little participation in 1983, unbeknownst to me, I didn't know that Benton Basham was out there running around looking for birds. I ran around looking for birds, but I didn't have a whole lot of money. I didn't get on a whole lot of flights. I had a little RV and I putzed around. I spent about $5,000, 38,000 miles, and came in number 2 in the lower 48 with 555 species of birds. And it wasn't intentional, but since Benton Basham was out there doing it, they said I had to turn in my numbers, so I did. And it was fun. It was fun. I met people, have experiences, and I really had a great time. So that was me, and I actually am written up in the magazines. So I love technology. I'm a printmaker. I go back to the 17th century. Even further
So in the
back.
numbers that you got and everyone that got the recorded numbers, those were species only and not like male, female, immature type, right? Just species.
Yeah, it was.
That's a lot of birds.
Okay, so y'all plan on doing a big year, already started. What's your plans?
Photograph birds.
Go to Attu.
Go to Attu. Good luck. You have to. Yeah, it's not easy to get out there anymore. Do you want to just do Glenn County? Do you want to do
I'd
just
say
whatever you can?
North America, because a lot of people travel to different states, so
Yeah.
North
yeah.
America would
Okay.
at least be reasonable.
I mean,
Okay.
we don't expect everybody to be hitting all 50 states throughout the year, but, you know, if they go, then fine. You know.
Okay, and so that makes it a level playing field.
Right.
That's what I'm trying to do here, is that you need that kind of idea. All right, so we got the checklists out there so you can check it off. The next thing I want to talk about is coding birds. You can get herons and, okay, let's get over here and let's see if I've lost the marker. I have.
So when you say coding birds, is
Coding,
that
I
the
want to classify the type of bird that you're going to look at. So let's say, let me get something. Something. Anything. Okay. Code 1 bird would be a heron, especially in this part of the world. But a code, maybe a code 5 bird would be a buff-bellied hummingbird. You got what I'm talking about?
No.
And so, no?
They're not even the same kind of bird, so what's
Right,
the
but
code?
this doesn't matter.
Okay. How do you
How,
differentiate
because,
codes?
it really doesn't matter, because the herons, this is the way a birder would strategize this. I am gonna go for the buff-bellied hummingbird in so-and-so's backyard, and while I'm there, I will go past a marsh and I'll get a heron. But I won't be going by the marsh isn't gonna get me this bird. So if you hear about an unusual bird and you have an opportunity to photograph it, go out and try to photograph it.
Well, didn't you post a gull on
Mhm.
a picture that was very rare on the East
Mhm.
Coast? What,
That would be a category 5.
so what was that bird again?
Heermann's gull. It's from California.
So it's very unusual.
Very, it's only the first
I
time.
saw your post, but
Yeah.
I didn't see it.
It's the first time that that bird has been seen on the East Coast, period. So it's pretty cool, and we're all following, because of this network of eBirds, we know that this bird has been into Florida, down in Fernandina, and we know it's been up to South Carolina, and we know it's been to Tybee, and now it's been on St. Simon's. So we're following it, but that's a code 5 bird.
So if I don't know what a bird is, I mean, I know what birds are, but, I mean, what are the parts of the bird? If I was trying to describe something to you, you know, I mean, like, I don't, what's
That's
the
what the
process
books are
of-
for.
The beak,
Well, but
beak
if I didn't have a
size,
book and had a photograph, you know, because sometimes they may be in a certain stage during the year,
Mhm.
molting or something.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, do you talk about the eyes and the colors of the wings or the shape or,
Type of beak and.
yeah, I mean,
Mhm.
how
Yeah,
do you?
yeah. Mm-hmm.
If I can just jump in, Dean, there is a book, there are a couple of books on birding basics. And one of them is Sibley's Birding Basics, another one is National Geographic Birding Basics.
and Peterson.
They're very good.
Mhm.
They introduce you to molt. They give you the various plumage classifications. And it's really very, frankly, important to learn those. If you're gonna identify birds, you have to know what supercilium is, which is what we call an eyebrow. But it's, I highly recommend, if you wanna just think about birding, that you get one of those books and read it. Because first of all, it's very simple to learn, well, it isn't, but the basics are very important.
Yeah, and Sibley has a wonderful one.
Really wonderful.
Knowing your birds. I
This
like
one
this
has-
too, because
Oh,
you've
yeah.
got your birds classified, so you can go back and he'll talk about them and where to find them.
So your code 5 though is theoretically more of a rare bird, and so you're planning to go there because you're gonna see the more common birds wherever you go, or, you know,
Mhm.
in that area, whatever area.
Mhm.
Okay, all right, that makes sense.
It makes sense, and so, you know, to get a beautiful picture of a heron doing a display with the feathers all up is a beautiful photograph, but, you know, and not to say, but it's gonna be a little bit easier around here than it would be to get a, what's a bird that,
That buff breasted
well,
hummingbird.
a least tern feeding a chick with the wings up. So, you know, you kind of grade the difficulty of the photograph and the bird that you're getting. So y'all have a lot of different things layered on top of just birding. And that's what you told me that y'all want to get outside of your box. And this is the way to do it, is to get out there, to get in some places and get to know. Anybody got any questions? It doesn't have to be complicated. You can make your own codes if you
Well,
want.
it's really more like a goal sheet. What do I want to get first? And there are
Okay,
so
we'll
many
get to that in a
common
minute.
birds. The
We'll
common birds, you know, we can get, like you said, the great blues anytime, and the
Well,
great egrets, those are everywhere.
And you have to start looking at the seasons, like we don't typically see painted buntings this time of the year here, because they mostly migrate further south. So you gotta think about, you know, what you're gonna see, like there's a lot of shorebirds wintering here that we won't see in a few more months. So I've been out a couple of times trying to, you know, go ahead and try to identify some of those shorebirds that I probably won't see in March or April or May or whatever.
And you were asking about how to identify it. Getting a good photograph is the way to go.
So what are your tricks for getting good photographs?
Pure luck.
I mean, you use a fast
I'm not a
shutter speed.
photographer, and I will never claim to be. I luck on to shots.
If you're a hunter, you're
Yeah.
2 steps ahead.
You have
Yeah.
to be a bird to do good photograph. You have to be like a bird, I guess.
Yes, think like a bird. And there are people out there that just are bird magnets. You want those, you want to be around those people, because they kind of the birds just come to them and go, oh yes, I got him. All right, hey everybody, I got a coup, I just got,
And I guess one thing as far as, I mean, I don't think you include captive bird. I assume go to the Jacksonville Zoo and get some.
Yeah, why not?
Huh?
Why not?
Okay, well, are we
Ah.
okay with that?
Yeah.
They're in fences, I can find them.
Now, see what I'm gonna say here, and let me go ahead and fast forward here. We got kind of the idea of it. Okay, I talked to my friend Gene Kiefel. Gene Kiefel does a big Glenn County year every year. He's been doing it for a very, very long time. So I talked to him about his strategy. He says, within January, I want to have 170 species already under my belt, because then I don't have to worry about some of the more common winter birds. I can worry in February or in December, November for the birds that I need to clean up in the winter. He says, let's see what he says. He says, it gets harder as the winter progresses. He thinks ducks and sparrows in the winter, migration in March through May for shorebirds, April and May and early summer for blue grosbeaks, indigo buntings, painted buntings, and any of the nesting warblers. Then the best time for any of the warblers and grosbeaks is the fall, because our birds migrate up the middle of the country in the spring. They go from Mexico up through Mississippi on up and then spread out. But in the winter, the birds fly over to the Atlantic and fly down. So we here in October have many more warblers than at any other time. Grosbeaks, flycatchers, the whole thing.
Yeah, and that's why they do the bird banding, I guess, in October.
That's the reason why we do it in October.
There is a bird banding in October that goes 3 weeks plus, and they usually are receptive to guests.
And they will teach you so much more, and
you'll
it
see
will
birds
stay
that
with you
wouldn't-
because you got the bird right there. In fact, we used to joke that the only way we could identify the bird in the hand was to have somebody hold it back here, and we all put our binoculars up on it to do it. So, you know, there are a lot of strategizing to all of this. And so that's some of it. He also talked about, and that goes back to the Jacksonville Zoo, he says there are wood storks, ibis, and other birds, native birds, that take advantage of these open areas to feed. because birds are opportunistic. They feed where they can feed.
But
So-
you're not talking about taking pictures of a captive
No,
bird.
Like
Yeah.
No
from-
captive birds.
From
No
Africa,
captive.
you know, cause they have, yeah.
No
they've got
African
exotic
parrots and none of
birds
that
and-
stuff.
Mhm.
They do, and the alligator farm does, you
Yes.
know, and that's all open, you know, they're not captive, they come and go as they please.
Right.
but the reason that they're there is because they have alligators which protect them from
So we can't count stuffed birds,
no stuffed birds. No, challenge yourself, think outside the box. Think outside the box. Let's see, what else? Oh, yeah, I'm supposed to talk about areas to go. And, one of the places that he talked about that I think y'all would really enjoy doing is Parks Pasture. Parks Pasture is on the west side of, Glenn County. You go out 341, about 8 miles. It's Park Pasture Wildlife Management
spell that?
Area.
P-A-U-L-K, how do you spell that?
P-A-U-L-K, yes, Parks Pasture. What you're doing is you're going through piney woods, and then you're going through swamp. So we have marsh over here, but we have swamp there. And, I'm sorry, I can't show you my prothonotary warbler, but you can get a prothonotary warbler photograph there right at your feet in April and May. So, you know, start doing things, thinking about things like that. He also mentioned Gilman's paper company ponds. You can go through Crooked River can guide you over there. There are all kinds of birds that you walk the dikes, and these are holding ponds. And there's every kind of heron and egret and night heron and painted buntings and warblers that are singing.
Now, where is that at?
It's down in Camden County,
Okay.
next to,
Oh, the Crooked River
Mhm.
Park,
Crooked
State
River
Park out
State
there?
Park.
Okay.
Crooked River will take you over there in golf carts.
But isn't,
Oh,
but it's private property, right?
It's
So you
private
have to-
property, but they have the permission to go over and show.
excellent.
Yeah. Any of the land trust, St. Simon's Land Trust, preserves, the, Frederica Park, some of those, just investigate some of those. And you'll get the little birds coming up to you.
I understand or read something or saw a comment or something about landfills being replaced to see birds. Is that
Gulls, terns, no, not just gulls, yeah. The Andrews Island Crossway,
Well, yeah,
that's a
over there.
spoil area,
Yeah.
and that's very good for sparrows in the winter. We have some really unique sparrows called, Nelson's shark-tailed and salt marsh shark-tails. Beautiful sparrows. Spend some time in your field guides looking at sparrows. They are not they'll surprise you. And, to get out on this, out in this area where we have them would be a great deal of fun. And, I also recommend looking at the, Coastal Georgia Audubon website and see when they're going out, because they could take you out to these areas, show you where they are, and then you can go out on your own and you can get an idea. Also, hanging around bottle brush, you know, hanging around a bottle brush. We had Cape May warbler because the flowers are sweet and sticky, and it's good food, and the birds are right there for your photograph. So think about.
Where would you see, where it's a different place you see those? Or-
Uh,
I don't know what a bottle plant is.
Bottle brush. Oh, bottle brush is that red shrub that you have around here that has kind of a tubular. Huh? The Jekyll Island hotel has bottom brush around it. We always check out
Oh, cool.
those things.
Off the
Yeah,
porch.
yeah.
Off the porch.
Mhm, mhm. Oh, you just hang out at the croquet field.
Right.
They won't hit you like a golf course. A golf, you might check into possibly asking the golf course in May, on Jekyll, if they would do a golf cart nature tour with y'all. That is a wonderful place to photograph all kinds of birds. Yellow-throated warblers, I've gotten some of my best pictures of yellow-throated warblers.
And some of those I've seen at the bird sanctuary on Jekyll at the campgrounds. And
Yeah.
I go out there today, but
Mhm.
nothing but.
We had, I hear there's a Cooper's hawk hanging out.
Over there?
Mhm.
Oh, well, you can see him.
Yeah, yeah. So, anyway, these are just some ideas for you. Yes.
There's also the Georgia Ornithological Society in the first weekend in October, and you don't have to be a member. You can sign up for various trips, and trip leaders are gonna be just phenomenally knowledgeable
And helpful.
and really helpful.
And they have camera equipment.
Yeah,
Whoa.
so.
Because they all want to document.
Yeah, you might just look out for that.
What was the name of that again?
Georgia Ornithological Society.
I can't, I've lost.
Oh,
And you said in October? Is it?
Yeah.
It's the first weekend of October.
And how about owls? The only two I've seen in this area are barred and the great horned owl.
We have screech.
Screech.
But we also have night jars, which are Chuckwill's widows. They're going to be a challenge to photograph because they'll only come out as it's getting dark. That's GOS.org, and Craig is right. The interesting thing about GOS is if you want to do the whole state or you're doing, they also do a spring meeting up in Atlanta for warblers. And they'll take you on a lot of good walks for the smaller birds to get to know them. And these guys are very helpful. We try to get guides that are good and helpful to you. So GOS.org, you can just look under meetings and get that way.
One of them I highly recommend is the Sapelo Truck. It's difficult to get over the Sapelo and get around, because you have to have a contact to get on, and you either rent a bike or you rent a golf cart. If you do go over there with the boss group, they have a truck.
They call it the duck truck. And the reason they call it the duck truck is when they go under a limb, they yell duck.
You're gonna be worn out at the end, but it's a great day.
Yeah, and they have something over there that you'd have to go to Texas to get. The last time they went, they had the chachalacas, which are tree pheasants.
I saw those at the museum at Chapel. Museum, yeah.
Yeah.
I can't count that? Oh. No,
No, you
they
can't
were
count the
stuffed.
stuffed
They were
ones.
stuffed.
Well,
I had to ask about them because they didn't know what they were.
if you have any other questions, this is about, I just wanted to get y'all thinking, to get outside of your box, to get into the idea that it's a challenge, and for me, I have to photograph every day. I'm not a photographer, but I have to photograph every day because it feels my imagination.
Yeah.
And birds do that. They get you out there. And one of I'd like to leave you with the thought of, you might be going out there for just the birds, but you'll find that there's so much more that you get when you're out there. So I hope that's good, and all this wonderful paraphernalia, and there it is.
If I could say something about Fox pasture, you travel a long distance to get to where you want to be. But keep your eyes out, it's just a bunch of scrub all around you as you're driving through there. keep your ears and your eyes open and scrub. It seems like you just scrub after scrub, but then you hit a particular point that is water in a forest. Go into that, and that is loaded with prothonotary warblers. Go also, before you hit that forest area, go around the road on the outside of it, because there are a lot of red-shouldered hawks back there.
Yeah, I think we found somebody to do lead one of our field trips.
Oh, yes, you did.
Yeah.
Standing up there.
Either one would be.
Oh, yes.
There's also a couple places that we go to as well, which is Omaha Wildlife.
Yeah.
Here's a lot.
Oh, yeah, I saw.
Yeah.
Those are just.
Yeah, just go, yeah, I was trying to think of some areas that you might not know about.
And if I could say about Omaha Wildlife, you tend, as you're driving up 17, you tend to think that the birds are on the right because that's where all the water is, and they have the platforms. If you go back, just take one of those dirt roads, park your car, and just start walking through the fields, you're just gonna see sparrows, you're gonna see everything back there. And you're gonna say to yourself, when I first moved down here, I went to Omaha Wildlife on the western side. I said, this area is godforsaken. I think it's beautiful now.
A couple of years ago, I had some really good luck with wild birds. The last couple of years, either that or I'm not seeing them or something, but I still go. I was there a few days ago, so driving through. And,
Yeah, it's,
hawks and eagles, I've seen hawks and eagles, a lot of wading birds,
And you have woodland ducks.
birds, that, woodpeckers, owl, got great shots of owls sitting right beside the road.
Go out in the evening, late evening, and the birds are all flying. So that's been one of my goals lately, is photographing flying birds, because I want to paint flying birds.
I have a question, I'm
Sure.
sorry. Is that ever happened to you to wanted to get a bird at night? Like some birds that live especially at night, and
Yes.
is that more difficult, or how did you?
Yes. Yes and yes.
Yeah.
There are night jars. They are also called goat suckers, but they're chuckwills widows and whippoorwills, and they say their names.
Nice.
So you'll hear,
Oh, they're talking, nice.
yeah. So and that's a chuckwill's widow, and so yes.
Nice.
But you can get photographs of these guys if you're patient and wait for the sun to get up or the sun to start to go down in lower light, and just, meter appropriately.
Yeah.
Some places also say don't use flash photography,
No, that's
and
right.
that's because,
Oh, I never use a flash
Yeah.
photography, I don't like it.
yeah.
But
Well, they're gonna be
because
gone too.
I try to get I'm thinking in my head that I absolutely want the owl, but I don't even know how to start, where to
Oh,
start.
Coast Guard Beach.
Thank
Or
you.
Gascoigne.
Fourth,
There's a-
going park at 4th Street, is it 4th Street? Yeah, there's an owl in there.
Thank you so
And
much.
look in the pine trees.
Pine trees.
And they like to hang out in the pine trees right at Coast Guard Beach, but back in that wild part, in
There's a
the
small,
inner dune meadows.
small great horned owl now hanging out in Gascoigne.
Oh,
At the
okay.
park.
See, and this is what I'm talking about. You tell each other, talk to each other. This opens lines of communication.
So maybe we should use our Facebook page, so if you're seeing some
Unique,
more
yeah.
unique birds, not, I saw a heron, a great blue heron, which, we can see all day, but, go ahead, maybe let us where and what time and, that kind of thing, and we'll
Just to
all
give
rush
us
over
ideas.
there and,
Click, 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 click.
tell them about eBird. eBird will tell
yeah.
you
eBird,
Yeah, I've used some.
little e, capital BIRD.org.
Go to,
That's another one.
you can report birds you see, right? And
Right.
as well as you can see where.
You can explore too.
Where a bird has been listed as being seen recently, like you put in Cooper's Hawk, you know, if somebody's seen one around here, they'll show where it is.
That's another one.
We were talking about this earlier, about another way to identify. We are a photography group, I know that, but, I thought in the big year, they allowed, to identify by the sound.
Right.
Is that typical? So,
I tell people that, I call myself a birder, and most of us call ourselves birders because it goes beyond just watching or seeing birds. It's hearing birds, and if you get up to Evie's stature or Benton Basham's stature, they can actually almost feel the birds because they're out in nature. That it's I call it. It's kind of a Zen thing, and the more you do it, like at the end of my big year, I had kind of a Zen thing going because I was walking down a trail, just walking down a trail. I was trying to find a Lucifer's hummingbird, and everybody kept telling me to look over to the right. That they were always, there was this one tree and I was walking down, and I thought, I'm gonna look over here, and there he was. He just sat there. So the deeper you get into this, there is sort of a zen about it, and the birds begin to kind of collect around you too.
So are we okay as a group? And again, I know we're a photography group, and I would love to shoot pictures of some of the things I've heard, like the Sand Hill cranes I heard.
Oh yeah, they're.
Pinocchio. The guy confirmed that I was hearing correctly, and but they were off in the swamp, further in the swamp, and they are there this time of the year, which I'm going to hopefully see some. I didn't, but I clearly heard them as a bunch of them over there making a big racket.
I like their sound.
So are we okay with?
Sound.
I mean, as far as the list goes, but we obviously
I
get
think
as many
maybe
photos. as
on the
we want.
list, if you mark down that it was not photographed.
Oh, yeah, I definitely,
Her?
and,
You put
on my
H
checklist,
for her.
I have photo, yes or no, and then I'm making a comment, audio only, heard it,
Because a lot of us will probably never recognize birds, but. with
I
the
don't know a
photograph
lot of
birds.
sounds, but the ones I know,
I know 2 or 3 that are very distinctive that.
right, the
you
Delta
always hear.
Kingfisher, some of those I've learned, and I need to learn more, but,
Well, what I can say is you photographed a lot of the little birds, and you learned the little birds because you photographed them.
But I didn't learn the sound. I learned.
Yeah, but I mean, that's a step, that's something that I want y'all to be aware of now. Because actually, when you're in the zone, when you're photographing something, you just need to make sure your ears are hearing things.
So you know where to direct yourself and
Well,
to
what's
guide-
around
to
you.
go guide
Well, his
yeah.
point, I mean, a lot of times when I go to the wildlife management areas, I'm listening first, because I can hear the birds long before I ever see them, if I ever see them. So hearing is the way to start, to say, okay, there's something in this area now, can I find it, can I see it, can I wait?
I call it bird parties.
Bird party, though.
Yeah, you're going along and all of a sudden you'll hear a bunch of chickadees and titmouse. Stop. They know where the birds are.
Yeah, when you start to hear a whole bunch of birds in one tree, just stay there.
Just stay there.
And just stay there and watch them come in and come out of the tree. If I could say about Merlin, because Merlin is thought of as an app for putting in colors and then it comes up. This summer, they put in an ability, you hold your iPhone out and it records the bird and identifies it. Now, it only does common birds, but I've found it just phenomenally good. I've had real trouble with bird songs. And with this, you stick it out and it comes back and it tells you what it is. And all I can say is what Lydia had to go through to learn bird songs, I'm not gonna have to.
Common Potu, my boss would come in and he'd say, "Hi boss, Common Potu just sang, yep, I had a tape recorder, and I just, in my little cubicle, I would have my earphones on, and I would be playing bird songs all day long, learning bird songs.
Well, what prompted me to want to do this, I watched that, it's an older movie, I guess, but I just saw it recently, The Big Ear with Steve Martin and Jack Black and Owen, what's his name, Wilson or something?
Owen
And I
Wilson,
thought,
yeah.
What a cool thing, I mean.
Actually, if
Never heard
you,
of it.
there is a book called The Big Ear. It is an excellent read, because he combines these three guys, Greg Miller, Kamiko, and Stan, and he compares their hunting ability, but they also talk about the bird. So you get, the one that I really liked is that he talked about the hummingbird that left from the Yucatan, and he flew across the Gulf of Mexico, and he hit the Texas coast and was exhausted and was just sitting there, just exhausted, this little tiny bird. But all three of these guys saw the same hummingbird and had a different perspective. Each one had a different perspective on it. So, you know, it's a real, it puts in weather and all of that. Weather, the bird, a perspective from the bird, and the person who's watching the bird. And I really, and it's a true story.
I understood, somebody told me that as a result of that movie, Steve Martin got big time into bird watching.
Oh,
He
fantastic!
translated from that movie into, I like it, I'm
Gonna go out and do it.
So,
Why not?
Good on him.
Pack your binoculars along with the camera, and you just never know. Or use the camera as your binoculars too.
So Lydia, even though you're not a photographer, as you, just using your words, what lenses would you recommend using for this, you know, among somebody who is a newer photographer or maybe a more experienced photographer? And
I know,
You're the wrong person to
I
ask.
don't know, back in the days when I really was photographing, and, those lenses that's all
Passé.
arcane, yeah. And I'm laughing because when I went to Attu, sorry, they kept weighing my backpack, and it was
Yeah.
19 pounds of camera equipment. And I joked that I only got one picture that I thought was halfway decent, and that was from the plane with the normal lens. But that's not the truth. I did actually get some good photographs. But I just felt, you know, and so from forever, I just got a little power shot, Canon.
with the zoom.
And it's fine, it fits in my pocket, and I can just pop it out and photograph, and I don't care if it's you know, sharp from edge to edge, I don't care. If the bird is halfway in focus, thumbs up, folks. But I've been lucky too, and gotten some good shots, but I would not say it's because I've been fortunate to take some folks out, some young people who have gotten into the photography, and first of all, you have to have the eye, and these children had the eye, and then they upgraded and upgraded and upgraded their camera equipment, and now they're actually going out into the field and photographing, setting up and photographing. So some of them are getting quite good. But I hope this helps you a little bit. I hope y'all all have fun out there. That's what it's all about.
And we can call you to ID some birds for us?
Yes. Anytime you want to send me a photograph, please do. I love photographs. I might not be able, you know, sometimes I'll misidentify, but I like to get photographs. Warning, I will use them in my art.
The Audubon, the Coastal Georgia Audubon Society does have field trips, and they're very helpful.
Yeah.
Didn't you start that, Lydia, or did
No,
you didn't start? I know you.
Elaine Young, long ago, far away, Elaine Young and Louis, Duesenberry, Lorraine Duesenberry got that started,
But
nineteen
don't you do this
seventy-three.
area, don't you conduct tours in this area though?
I do a Thursday morning bird ramble on Jekyll. I'm
Now,
falling
are y'all
apart
meeting-
health-wise,
Are y'all
so.
meeting in person yet, or are you still Zoom, or are you doing Zoom, or are you still meeting in person yet, or?
They're discussing it right now,
I
going
mean,
back.
yeah, I
and-
attended for a good while, and when COVID hit, it kind of burned all
Yeah.
that, but,
Mhm.
certainly would like to go back and start
Oh,
attending at
yeah.
some point, so.
They're good people and you learn a lot.
Another good place, Alabama Plantation.
I talked to Gene about that. He felt like it was good for landscapes and flowers, definitely, native plants. But the birds tend to be a little further away from you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you have to think about,
It's
getting
not
those
easy
birds,
getting
I
them.
mean, especially
No,
those
it's not
little
easy.
guys,
Yeah, it's
close
a
to
long
you.
walk.
Yeah, that.
Like sitting at the
I've
at
been
the
that way.
tower at Horton Pond.
At my
I mean,
house,
Yeah,
Horton Pond, yes.
yeah, at your house.
At my house at Horton Pond.
Because they're bouncing right there, and if you're quiet, they come.
And if anybody's got a really great backyard feeder system, going on, I know some people do, I mean, invite us over.
Well, and there's the bird sanctuary on Jekyll as well.
Well, I was there today, yeah, they're mostly chickadees and cardinals right now.
The bunting has
house
been
finch.
seen there, painted bunting.
Yeah, not this time of year, but.
No,
Painted
yeah.
bunting has been seen, and a
Mhm.
friend of mine has had
they
two,
lie.
the male and
No,
female
they
in the
didn't.
backyard.
Actually,
They are.
we're actually having some issues with birds not traveling as far.
I've understood some do occasionally stay in the area year
There's
round,
2 feeders on Jekyll that you can go, and Bev has had them for 5 years, 2 pairs, all during the winter.
Well,
Yeah, let
Kathy,
move.
Kathy has some in her backyard, Kathy Boyer.
Oh, yeah, and
Oh,
So I'm gonna go sit in her dining room, take pictures out her window.
Well, you didn't call me.
No. Okay.
So maybe in December for our meeting, as part of the holiday meeting, it could be people sharing maybe their 3 favorite bird photos.
Yeah, we're gonna
With the
work on
future.
that and probably have like some type of prize for whoever got the most birds.
We'll have the projector working by then.
All that's gonna be. in
yeah, I've
the
gotta
works.
go online and figure this one out.
Thank
Oh,
you.
well.
I'm curious, because I'm sure not everybody here is into birding. I mean, are most of us going to do that, or is this something you're not gonna do, or? Got some interest?
Partial.
Steve's already said he's shot so many birds in the first 2 weeks of January, he can't even keep up, so.
I shouldn't, I don't like keeping track of them.
Well, you got long pictures, man, you can.
Yep,
you
that
got-
last,
You got a list, you
the-
just gotta look at the pictures.
the last of the big year, they do all 700 species of birds in rapid succession. So if you just don't cut it off before the credits, they do the songs and they're all real birds.
Yeah, if you haven't seen the movie, it's an excellent, funny but very delightful movie. Very clean and nice, and the acting was good, and the story was good, and the birds were cool, and all that.
Just be careful, we went, and it looked very odd, we were in Florida, where were we at? The beach there, and Merritt Island, and we did not realize as we went down with camera gear and binoculars that there was nudists down there on the beach. So we looked like we were gonna
Oh, yeah,
walk around the
yeah.
beach.
Like I said, sometimes you run
So
into
what
some
kind of-
very interesting things.
So for those who are into shooting people, then you got a bonus,
Keep an eye out for those. Strange birds.
Plumage.
Merritt Island.
Oh, yeah, birds. Who would think? I was like, carrier falcon.
One more thing, I think, before is please, when you're photographing these birds, don't disturb them. Try not to disturb them. because part of what y'all are helping us with is the more you understand our habitats and how precious they are, the more we're liable to take care of them. So, the end. This time for a wrap.